VLSI. This is day 40 of 100 days design verification series. Today we are stepping into class in SystemVerilog. Class is a very important feature of SystemVerilog which will provide us all the object-oriented programming features which will be very important to design a strong test bench for verification. Let's get in. What is class? Class is just a user-defined data type. It groups together the data and functions or tasks that operate on this data. It means class is a collection of variables called properties and subroutines called methods that define the behavior of the data. If you look at the basic syntax of a class, it looks like this. Class and a class name. Then we have different class properties called data members. And we have functions and tasks inside a class that will be called as class methods. Here these class properties include data members, in the sense these are the different variables which we are going to declare with different data types, which can be updated through these functions or tasks inside a class. This class what we have created here is just a collection until we create an object of this in outside world and we utilize it. That we need to understand next, that is class, object and a handle. In object oriented programming, the concept of object is nothing but it is a container which has different data types and functions and tasks, etc. So it provides a mechanism like handle or object pointer that is used to access the object or assign it to some other handle as well. So let's look at the example here. Class my class, and let's say it has some class properties like called data members, and also it has class methods called task and functions. Inside a module example, I am using my class with a handle C1. It means it is just like instantiating a Verilog module inside a top module. My class is the name of the class and C1 is the instance name I am providing. This C1 is serving as a handle to this class, and through this C1 only we can access properties and methods of my class. So before accessing the properties and methods, we need to call new function through this handle. C1 is equal to new is an object creation where this class object is going to be created and the memory will be allocated. Now through this C1 I can access the properties and methods of my class. So this is how the object of the class will be created by declaring a handle to it. Now let's understand how actually we can access the class properties and methods. Look at an example here. Class my class, I have two properties. One is bit type data which can contain 32-bit data, and I have integer int id. I have a task definition and a function definition here. This task with the name update, this will take two arguments. One is bit type mdata and another one is integer type mid. So this mdata what I am going to get from the task call will be get assigned to data of my class, and also mid will be assigned to id of my class. And in a function I have a simple display statement to print the values of data and id in a console. So let's understand how to utilize this. Until we create an object of this class, it is just a collection of these properties and methods. Now we are utilizing this inside a module. Module example, initial begin. My class is assigned with an handle C1 and I am creating an object by calling the new function. So my class C1 is equal to new will be allocating a memory for this class. With a handle C1 we can access the properties. How to access them? C1.data, it means we are accessing this data is equal to 10. We are assigning a value also. Then I am calling print function present over here with C1.print. Now this will print the value of data is equal to the value of data present over here and also id. At this time we will be having data allocated with 10. We are expecting data to be printed as 10 and id will be printed with a default value. Default value of int type is 0. So whenever we call a new function, this will allocate a memory by creating an object of that class, and also it will allocate default values with respect to the data types what these variables have. That's why in the first print statement over here, I am seeing data is equal to 10 and id is equal to 0. After 10 time minute, I am calling the task over here through C1 again. C1.update, I am passing two input arguments to this task. 5 is a value for mdata and 9 is a value for int mid. So these two values will be get assigned to data and id now. So now data will be get updated to 5 through this task call and 9 will be updated to id. So if we call a print method again, this function, this will display the values again data is equal to 5 and id is equal to 9. This is the way we can access the properties and also the methods of that particular class after creating an object of that by calling a new function. Now let's understand different ways of utilizing the new function that will be called as class constructor. So class properties and methods can be accessed only after creating an object. That is what we have seen now. If you don't define a new function, let's say we have a function called here that is new, where actually the definition of this, here we have not defined new function, here also we have not defined new function, but just we are calling a default new function available in SystemVerilog. That is what happens here. If we without use new function inside a class, that will execute a default new function present. See, here is an example, class example 1. Again I have bit a, integer b. This bit a is a two-state data type bit and the default value will be 0. And integer will be a four-state data type. The default value of this b is x. And I have a function here. Again, I am displaying those values. Inside a module, I am giving a handle to this class as ex and I am calling the new function. This new function constructs the object of ex and allocate a space for that. So it initializes the content present inside the example1 class, that is AB, with their default values. What is the default value of A? It is 0. What is the default value of B? It is x. Suppose if I call this display now and display the values in 0 simulation time, you can see the value of A is 0 and B is x. Why it is 0 means bit A will be a two-state data type, default value is 0. This integer B having a four-state data type with an integer value, default value x. So this new function also allocating a space with their default values inside. Now let's understand the second example with new function inside a class. We can define a function ourselves inside the class. Class example 2, again bit a, integer b, function new. Now we can define our own function with a name new here, and we can utilize this to set the default values for these variables. So what I said, when I call the new function here, I don't have a definition of a new function, but inside a new function, it will allocate a memory as well as it will allocate a default values. Now I can define the new function and I can define some default value for any property of this class. See, b is equal to 32-bit hexadecimal, abc is the value I am assigning. So inside a module, I have an handle ex. Again, I am creating the object of that by calling the new function. Now this new function is called, and then ex.display will be displaying the content. Now we will be having this value of b will be updated to abcd, and obviously with a having value of default value 0. So we can utilize a function which we defined ourselves with a name new that will be act as a custom constructor for this particular class. Now we can pass some arguments in a new function as well. Let's say again we have a bit a and integer b here. Then I have a constructor. This constructor function new, it will take bit a is equal to 1 and integer b is equal to 3. Here just we are assigning the values. In the later point of time when we are calling this, we can override these values with passing other values also. So this a will be assigned to a and this b, capital B, will be get assigned to class variable b, and inside a function I am displaying it again. So ex is the handle, ex is equal to new of, here I can pass two values. The first value which I am not passing anything to the a, by default it is having 1 here, that will be get assigned to a, and the second value I am overriding here. Previously I have b is equal to 3 in the definition, but here when I am utilizing that, I am updating that with fedc. So if I call the display function, you can observe at 0 simulation time, a is equal to 1, this will go from here, and b is equal to fedc, this is overriding this 3 and printing fedc what we are passing. So this is the example how we can utilize a new function by defining our own constructor, and we can pass a default values as an argument like this, and we can fix the values over here, or we can pass it as an argument and we can assign a default value also. Then we need to understand, suppose if the two handles are created for a class like this, and if you don't allocate any memory for that, means if you don't call a new function, what happens? Let's say here I have a class called transaction and I have a bit type 31 down to 0 data and id again, I am creating the two handles here for transaction class. I can have multiple objects of a same class as well. That's why transaction tr1 comma tr2. Initial begin tr1 is equal to new. I am calling a default constructor and I am assigning the data with 5 and id is equal to 1. I am displaying it. And with the second handle tr2, I am trying to access data and id and I am trying to assign the values and I am displaying those values. But what happens? This first display statement is displaying correctly. So this is displaying as per this display statement. You can see packet1.data is equal to this value and id is equal to this value. See packet.1 data is equal to this 5 and id is equal to 1. But because of these line numbers 89 and 90, I am getting an error that null object access. It means the object at dereference depth 0 is being used before it was constructed or allocated. Means we are utilizing tr.data, but we are not creating an object of class through tr2. That's why it is throwing an error. That's why similarly as line number 84, tr1 is equal to new. Here we need to create an object of that and then we can access the properties and methods of the class through tr2. This is the basic mistake a fresher or a beginner will do. So try to avoid this. Just call a new function for every handle what you are going to use and then you can access it comfortably. Otherwise you will be getting an error like null object access. Whenever you get that, it means you are not created the object itself and you are trying to access it. This is all about the basic introduction to class and its object creation and the handle and also the different examples of constructor. In the next video, let us understand more about how we can utilize this class with all the different OOPS features. Thank you.